Hello, hello, gorgeous NFA money mamas. It is time for the Women Entrepreneur Podcast Party. I absolutely love these episodes. We've been releasing only one a month and they're filling up really fast. So I think we're going to add more. Today, we have a group of incredible women entrepreneurs on from all over. And I actually forgot to ask where they were from, but I know that they're from all over the country. I don't know if anyone's out of the country in this community today, but this podcast and this episode will reach a global audience. So it is my aim, my vision, my quest to bring money mindset and manifestation tips, strategies, tools, inspiration to you to help you stay encouraged on the business building journey, to become a really powerful woman who owns her power, owns her skills, owns her genius, knows who she is, and brings that gift to the world so that you can shine your light in huge ways. I love to do this because when I started my business, I would say when I decided to become an entrepreneur, I was in a very dark place and I felt completely powerless, really stuck in survival mode. I was on food stamps, working my way through grad school and broken relationships and just a lot of self-doubt. And when I started on the entrepreneurial journey, I started listening to a whole bunch of podcasts. And first I started with relationship podcasts and I started to learn I have some self-confidence issues and codependency issues. And as I started to learn that and change my self-confidence, I really felt like, oh my God, I have so much to share with the world. And it inspired me to want to start a podcast. And so, today we're almost 300 episodes in of the entire podcast. It's been rebranded a few times. And now I'm like, it is my quest to empower you, to continue to bring you gifts, to build community around the podcast. And so I love doing this. And our topic today is going to be so much fun because we're talking about what's the best advice you'd give your startup self. And when I say startup self, maybe you started your business last week. Maybe you started your business 15 years ago, wherever you're at on the journey, or it could be even more than that. Wherever you're at on this journey, I know that it's important for us to look back and go, if I could erase everything I've done and encourage myself from that place of wisdom of all the experiences I've had, what would I tell myself? And so every woman on this party is going to go back and tell that story in 3 minutes or less each. You're going to get different business owners' perspectives coming from different business models and obviously coming from different backgrounds. So for me, I would say that my best startup advice, as I see it today, is to simplify, not overdo it, let go of the imposter syndrome, and not compare yourself to the people who are way ahead of you. One of my biggest issues was negative self-comparison and really pushing myself really hard to be like the business owners I saw who were 40 years ahead of me or 20 years ahead of me. And it caused me to work a lot. And it was amazing in that it helped me break through to 6 figures in my first year. It was draining in that it was like cracking the whip all day, every day, working all the time and scared a lot. Like I had a lot of scared energy that first year of business. And I felt a lot of imposter syndrome. And I think that's something we all feel along the way. It's almost impossible to step into something new and not feel some doubt and uncertainty and fear. And yet it would keep me up at night. Like I was stressed out. I look back at some of that. In that first year of my business, I was with someone who I thought was going to be my life partner. And he ended up having an affair and telling me that I needed to work less. And I really didn't prioritize our relationship. We had a lot of other things going on. So, I can own my parts in that process. And I do look back and I go, yeah, I was pretty robotic. Like I was very intense about what I was doing. I mean, my company is NFA, no fucking around money. And so I'm very intense about the things I do. And it's been amazing to shift it from that startup self to going into this mode of like, okay, it's all about joy and alignment. And not beating yourself up when you're not enjoying alignment every single day, right? That's not realistic. It's something that you can wake up and decide to get into the best alignment you can possibly get into every day. But that's not going to happen every single day. There are going to be days that you wake up and you feel scared. And there are going to be days that you wake up and you're not sure what to do. And that's okay. So it's this softness I would love to share with my startup self, where it's like, hey, love yourself. Like give yourself a little hug in the morning and and be okay with slowing down a little bit. And when you're on that race, whose race are you on? Who are you trying to prove yourself to? And, in a lot of ways, I really had to have the money because I was on food stamps and I needed to make sure that I could pay my rent. But once I got to that point, I could have chosen to be strategically slower about it instead of freaked out all the time. And so, today my business snapshot looks completely different 5 years in than it did that first year. And so, in sum, I would say that best advice for my startup self is be easier on yourself. Love yourself more, slow down a little bit, take time for breathers, and practice a lot of self-care. And then just be consistent and you'll get there. So that's where I'm going to start. And let's go to our first fabulous woman entrepreneur. Let's go from my screen. I'm seeing Leslie first. Do you want to go first, Leslie?
What would I really love to tell my startup self? I love your story. I come from a little bit different story. I did have a relationship break, and I was a single mom with 3 kids. I brought another son into my life. And two things I learned. One thing is that before you make your first dollar, if you're already employed, if you have a good tax partner, that solves a lot of your money problems right away. The first thing I did was work with an accountant, and I was able to keep my children's house. So that was a huge step for me before I made my first dollar in my business. So it can make a difference to you. But the real thing I want to tell my startup self and your startup self, if you're out there wondering if you want to start a business, is let go. Kind of like what Amanda was saying. You don't need everything to be perfect. You don't need to know everything to start. You need 2 things to start. You need to know what you're going to do, and then you need to do it. So what are you going to sell? Just sell it. Do you need an LLC? Not day one. Do you need the bank accounts? Not day one. Do you need the social media pages? Not day one. You just need to start. And so many of us, especially us women, everything has to be perfect. We've got to have everything perfect. And I got to tell you, it's not going to be perfect. Running a business is messy. It's like having a toddler. It's a mess a lot of times. And if you just accept that and move forward, you're going to move so much faster than you would have before. So that's the advice I give to new business owners.
Love it so much. You're not perfect. Take small steps and deal with the taxes. Love it. Okay. Thank you, Leslie. Go for it, Lindsay.
Excellent. Okay, well, mine is a little bit more strategy oriented. I recently hosted an online business boot camp, and I couldn't tell you, I think throughout the entire thing, I heard myself say, if I could go back and do it over again, this is the thing. And I laughed about it. I actually turned it into episodes on my podcast because I'm like, okay, I need to make this public knowledge. Number one, in any business, make gathering emails so important from day one. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't have it all figured out, you don't even know what you're selling, focus on building your list. Your list is equivalent to your paycheck. Now, there's a lot of ways to do that. And I would just tell you to invest that time and energy and make that one of your top priorities. Along with that, another really good one that I repeated over and over again is to, like you said, Amanda, simplify. But in simplification, I would say focus on one social media platform and one long form content strategy. So one short form, one long form content strategy, and then just be consistent on those platforms. And a short form for people who are not sure, that's like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, pick one. And long form, you typically have podcasts, YouTube, and blogging. By the way, YouTube can be both short form and long form now. So sometimes it's just easier to even go even more simple and just focus on that one platform. But again, use your content to drive traffic to your emails, right? Downloads and get your email list. And then you have you have the gold mine, you have the buyers in hand. So when you do finally figure out everything you're selling, you're ready to go. So that's my tip. If I could go back and do it over again, I would have wished somebody would have because I heard all this. We all hear it. I wanted somebody to grab me by the shoulders, look me in the eyes and be like, no, listen, really, this is it. So yes, hopefully that is helpful for you.
So incredible. I so agree. It's like someone needs to grab you by the shoulders and say, seriously, I know you're hearing this everywhere, but seriously, build your list. Such great advice. Thank you. Okay, go for it, Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Traster, and I own Transformational Writing, LLC. And I started my business in January of 2020. And I was teaching 30 hours a week at the time. And I started podcasting, blogging, doing social media, having things on YouTube. And I was really starting to get things rolling and more visibility. And then in October of 2020, my dad passed away. And then a few weeks later, I had to get my hip replaced. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to start, blogging, doing all the things. And then I had to have an emergency appendectomy in March of 2021. And it was just like I kept hitting these huge obstacles, and I felt so depleted and exhausted. But I had this mindset that I had to do everything, or I wasn't. I was like all or nothing. And so I didn't create anything until I started up again this January. And I wish I could tell myself, yes, take a break, give yourself some grace. Like those were 3 pretty traumatic events within a short amount of time. But I wish I would have continued to gently, thoughtfully create, and at least continue blogging, and that's all, or just my podcast, and that's it. And I recently read, it's an article about 100 days of writing, and it's a very gentle way to creating when you have been through a traumatic experience or you're just coming from a very depleted space. Novelist Jen Ashworth started this 100 days of writing, and Eva Beck wrote this great blog post about it that's worth reading, but it just gives you permission to continue, but not have to be hardcore and do it all. Because I think if I would have continued, I just think, gosh, how much more traction would I have by now, to my blog or podcast, Journal with Jenny. So I guess I wish I could tell myself, my 2020, 2021 self, that give yourself some grace and some rest, but, do something.
So valuable. Yesterday on the webinar, I was sharing with people, it's like what happens is sometimes things happen. It could happen that you get an explosion of business and then you stop doing the consistent things that brought you the business in the first place. And then you got to start all over again, and so it's like this constant reminder, what the gold mine that you just shared is so powerful. It's consistency and showing up regularly. And then what that does is creates this know, like, trust factor with your people, even in the hard times. And I think another important thing here that you're pointing out is you don't always have to look perfect. You don't always have to share stuff that's encouraging. Sharing your story of challenge is helpful. And I think that's something I've struggled with too. It's like feeling like, oh, I'm a coach. I've always got to have it together. I can never fall apart. And sometimes the best responses I get is when I'm just vulnerably sharing that I feel like shit, and I feel I'm falling apart. And so thank you. Awesome words of encouragement and really great tip. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Brette, go for it next.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. So There's a lot of advice, a shitload of advice I would have given myself as a casting director 25 years ago of how to do it differently. But muzzle tough me, I got out of that. Well, mostly. I'm still doing projects here and there. But as a performance coach and strategy maven for not only actors, but executives and entrepreneurs, this is what I would have said. I would have said, okay, all right. So you know that you're of service to all of these fabulous clients. What else do you really want? And I would have said money and lots of it because I'm turning 50 in August and I want fancy things. So I would have sat down with myself when I started coaching mostly full time 2.5, 3 years ago and said, okay, how can you make the most money possible as opposed to kind of hiding under a rock and pretending that I didn't see that or that I didn't know when I would have talked to more people and gotten better advice. That's where I started listening to your podcast, like to be able to say, this is a thing and it's not my best thing. And, I need to be curious and open about this and ask myself hard questions about how I budget my time so that I can have the fanciest budget. So that's what I would have done differently. Yeah.
Yeah. I love this. I love serendipity. Just this morning, I was talking with my husband journaling about this exact thing. It was like, why don't we reverse engineer a business from a place of that question of like, what kind of lifestyle do I want? What kind of money do I want? And then reverse engineer our programs, products, packages, and services from that place. My newest program is exactly that because it's like that. I've learned that too. I'm like, oh, I got really confused about all the things I should have been doing. And it doesn't have to be so hard. We make it hard on ourselves when we're not clear. Right? Yeah. Great advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Okay. Robin, go for it. You're next.
Okay. So this is my second startup. First one I did was in 2004, and the internet wasn't as big as it was now in regards to social media. So it was a lot different. That amount, physical cards that you were handing out to people, going and visiting people. So this one's a lot different. So fast forward to 2020 when I started this. And I would say that if I were to give myself some advice, I would just sit myself down and tell myself to be a little bit more patient, not demand so much of me. I felt that I pushed myself really hard. And then I got myself disappointed when things didn't work out the way that I hoped they would. And they're working out and things are trending great and I'm successful, but that ride is just, you build a website, realize it's not how you want to brand yourself, and you take it down, you have to do it over again. So the frustration that goes with all your hard work that goes into it, and then you find out that's not the way I want to do it, and I've got to pivot and do it a different way. I would just say be patient. It takes time and it's a lot of work. And the second thing I would have told myself is to save up a little bit more money before I started it, so I didn't get to the point of feeling like I needed to go on food stamps to do this venture. But really be patient, stick through it, and it will happen.
Such good advice. You just said something I want everyone to think of. It takes time. Like there is no such thing as overnight success. Robin, how long were you in your previous business?
14 years.
Okay. So you're a 14-year plus business owner, and it still takes time to build the new business.
The second business took, time. And it's different. It wasn't going door to door. This time I was on social media, so I had to learn all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious because you have so much business experience and different types of businesses. Would you say there's a common thread? Would you say the common thread is to be patient? Is that the common thread across different types of businesses?
Patience is huge. Anytime you start a business, you need, a good business plan, knowing what you're doing, being patient is key. And, it's all word of mouth, getting your name out there. And that takes time. I don't know why we think it's going to be instantaneous, probably because if you want to know how to do yoga, you can just YouTube it. But building a business takes time and requires a lot of patience.
So true. So valuable. I hope that every woman who's listening, no matter where you're at on your journey, whether you are a startup or you've been years in business, I know this is helpful because it resonates so much. It's something to remind ourselves every single day. It is ridiculous to expect that we're going to overnight build a sensational, successful business that feels super aligned and awesome, where we're like, oh, I'm making tons of money and everything's great. It'd be like saying, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to watch like 20 YouTube videos in a day. And then I'm going to go to the gym and work out once and I'm going to have a just banging body. Like that is nonsense, right? We all know that you've got to be eating healthy, sleeping well, and working out regularly to feel good in your body. It's the exact same with a business. It's no different. It's like a baby that you nurture into going through the developmental stages of like, hey, it's a new startup. Now it's in phase 1, it's in phase 2, it's in phase 3, it's in phase 4. And in that process, you're going to revamp and learn so much, so many times. So awesome advice. Thank you. Kara, go for it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Amanda, for doing this. And I'm really excited to be here. I am Kara Zabrowski of Reshape Midlife. And I have been an entrepreneur a good part of my life. I turned 60 this year. I can't even believe it. Proud to be turning 60. So what I'll say is I've basically had 2 businesses with kind of a new whole wing that's developed over the last 5 years. But my first business was in travel and meeting planning. And to be honest with you, it was pre-internet and it really wasn't that hard. It was in a community I had lived in for a long time and I'd been in for a while. And so when I branched out on my own, it really wasn't hard. And then I knew at some point when the internet came into being that my career was going to be gone at some time because it just was, we were evolving in a whole new direction with travel and stuff. So that's when I was forced into what am I going to do with my life? Because I loved what I did. I thought that's what I would do forever. And so anyway, I was with a personal trainer at the time and one thing led to another. I ended up getting into fitness, personal training, eventually yoga and all of that. And I lived in my community for a long time. And so when I even moved into that, it wasn't terribly hard. And when the internet just started out, there was no such thing as algorithms and people just easily found you. And so again, it's become this whole different ballgame. So 8.5 years ago, my husband and I moved from Southern California to Colorado Springs, where we are now. And I really started evolving into a passion to work with women in the midlife years, because now at this point, I've worked with so many women and I see such a need for these women that have kids empty nesting and not knowing what they're going to do with their lives, really trying to figure out their identities again. They've let themselves go in a lot of instances and they just want to get healthier and like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? What's my meaning and purpose, right? So I started writing online course content. And so then it really developed into where I am now as wellness coaching, online courses, running wellness retreats is one of my newer offerings. And so what I would tell myself based really on everything, but the last harder part has been the last 8.5 years with moving and really starting a lot of things from scratch. Number one, I relate to everything every one of you said. So I believe that everyone out there listening to this is going to relate to at least a good part of this. But grace came up already. I would absolutely give myself a lot of grace. More humor and lightness and less seriousness. I tend to, just dig into whatever I'm doing and can tend to be hard on myself. That came out a lot already. And so just a lighter, just not being so hard on myself. Mm-hmm. I think Amanda say this the other day on a podcast. I've been binging her podcast because I just found her about a month ago. And when you were talking about the idea of not being perfect, and then sometimes you just need to put stuff out there, even though you're not 100% happy, with it, but we'll keep tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and then we don't get stuff out, right? So it's just like, get it to good enough and put it out there, right? And us being vulnerable, this is something I teach all the time. People are going to relate to the imperfectness. they're going to relate to you being vulnerable. And so I think that's really important. And I have to remind myself of that all the time. Yeah.
Awesome tips. Thank you. That is such a good one. I mean, all of the things you said, the thing that you added that's really important is take a break. Because when you think about energetic alignment, and what happens is like you're sitting there and you are often trying to perfect things. And, that one you're talking about, it's probably screw perfection, just get started. I love that mantra, it's like just screw perfection, just get started. And I mean, I put stuff out there with typos and I'll send stuff and I'm like, oh crap. And then I'm like, hey, you know what? I put a lot of content out there. It's going to be imperfect sometimes. And that thing you're saying about taking a break, I think this is a really good symbol for not only just in the moment, sometimes you need a pause in your business. And what that can look like is a weekend break. It could look like a week-long break. It could look like a week-long break from releasing episodes or from releasing social media posts. And what this break does often is gives you, I call it slow down to speed up, because you need that insight and that perspective. And it creates law of contrast where you see what matters and what doesn't, because now you have the contrast to go, okay, when I don't do this for a week, how do I feel? And so, even in a moment, when you take a break from like doing something just in that moment, it gives you a break to realign your energy. And you all know how much I preach and teach and talk about energetic alignment, because then your effort that you're doing can be effortless instead of effortful, where you can go, I think a thought, I feel aligned, and something comes to me, versus I think a thought, I'm stressed to hell, and now the whole thing is resistance. And so that taking a break is incredibly powerful. And really, everything that everyone said here is such wise, simple advice. That's the thing I think is so amazing, is that we overcomplicate everything. We often make things so much harder than they need to be. And so that's where, we want to consider those money blocks that are coming in, or those unconscious blocks. I think of it a lot as like, we are addicted to feeling bad. And it happens when we're young. Like when we're very young, we get a whole bunch of layers of teachings that it's negative to shine your light and that it's not actually good to feel good. Like when you see, it's that idea, especially for women, where it's like, oh, if she's like shining and beautiful and feeling great, you're like, oh, you're kind of a bitch. Like we're mean to each other. We're like, how do you get to make money doing what you love and be fabulous and amazing? And so we beat ourselves up, and then we limit ourselves from being abundant in that way. And, so my call to everyone here on this party right now and everyone listening is to shine your light. Let yourself take breaks. Let yourself have grace. Let yourself be imperfect. Let yourself, like all of these tips that we shared were so awesome. Like slow down. How can you make the most money possible? Let yourself dream about that. That's huge, right? Like, how can I do what I love and make the most money possible? That's an awesome question to ask yourself. Know that it takes time to build a business. Be patient with yourself. Be loving with yourself. Align with awesome people. Align your energy. Remove the obstacles. And when you have really hard stuff come up in life, like Jennifer shared, it's okay to pause sometimes. You can still be consistent while pausing. You can take a week break. You can come back. You could shrink the amount of time you spend on creating the blog post. You could, so there are options. Give yourself permission to be easy on yourself and let this be a lifelong journey. There's no race. Like there is no race. It's a lifelong journey, and you're birthing. I always think of my business. I think it was Lindsay that said it. It's like you're birthing a baby. It's like a newborn. So when you're birthing a baby into the world, you got to nurture it, and it's forever. That's never going to go away if you really are in love with what you're doing in the world. And so, awesome tips. Thank you so much. Now we're going to go so everyone listening, this is fun. When I'm working with my team, I'm always like, how can we make this video where everyone gets highlighted in an awesome way? And we were like, okay, a 1-minute reel. We need to have everyone say something in one sentence or less, or a couple words or less. And so that's where this idea burst from. So what we're going to do right now is every person's going to go around. I'll just call your name, and you're going to say the best words of encouragement you have for the women entrepreneurs who are listening in one sentence or less, so that we can highlight everyone on a reel. So we'll go around and I'll say your name, and you're just going to say in one sentence or less your best words of encouragement for all of the awesome women entrepreneurs who are listening. So let's start. Let's go with Lindsay first.
All right. Optimism is the spark, but consistency is the fuel.
Okay, Jennifer, you're next.
You don't have to do it all, but what you choose to do it consistently, and give yourself grace.
Nice. Thank you. Kara, you're next.
Live your passion and do not let anyone destroy your dream.
Robin, you're next.
Say, calm your mind, give yourself love, and be patient and kind to yourself.
Oh, good. Okay, Brette, you go now.
The actors that get cast and work all the time are the ones that make that character their bitch. So own your own voice and let your special sauce or your it factor shine. You're enough.
Yes. Love it. Okay, go for it, Leslie.
You left your job for freedom. Making your business your new job is not the freedom you looked for. Get help. Run your business. Don't do your business.
Woohoo! Man, you women are all awesome. I love it. Thank you. That was great. Oh, such good stuff. Okay, now it's time for us to share with each other and with the community. So for the women who are listening on the podcast right now, when we are here, everyone's sharing with each other in the chat, because this is also a place where I like to build community where everyone gets to network with each other. If you have podcasts, we share emails and things like that. So make sure if you haven't come on a party, or even if you have, join us again, go to the womanentrepreneurpodcast.com. At the top of the page, you'll see two options. One is to come on for the podcast party, and the other one is to come on to my webinars. So now what we do is the content from the webinars gets taken out for the solo cast for the podcast. And then I answer questions on the webinar live. So it's a time to come and hang out with me, learn lessons about money mindset, manifestation, business scaling, and then also ask questions about that topic. And it's just a really cool place to hang out with other women entrepreneurs. So those are the options to hang out and with me and with other women entrepreneurs. So just make sure you go to thewomanentrepreneur.podcast.com. Before I have everyone else promote themselves, I'm going to share my newest program, which is going to be an ongoing, it's my signature program where I've taken, I'd say, like my greatest hits and packaged it into a 4-week coaching program. Small group, only 6 women in each group. And it's called the Zone of Genius Biz Blueprint. So if you go to zoneofgeniusbizblueprint.com, you'll see how it's a 4-week program where we get you into your zone of genius, which means you got to discover it, get aligned with it. And then we teach law of attraction strategies where you break through your money blocks by writing your money story and understanding what's stopping you from getting into your zone of genius and breaking through the next level in your business, whatever level that is. And then I help you package your program or repackage a program you have for profit. And I do this because what I've seen entrepreneurs do for years, and I did it myself a lot, was have too many things out there. And it creates scattered identity and scattered energy and doesn't lead to a lot of money. And so I help women get crystal clear focused on what to promote. And then in the last week, we talk about sales strategy, magnetic sales strategy. So I always teach things from the law of attraction. So if that's interesting you go to the just type in Zone of Genius Biz Blueprint and you'll see all the information there. And that's an ongoing program, but there are only 6 spots available per round. So just make sure that you get in when you see the spots open. And now what we're going to do is have each woman here share her name, her business, where to find her, and a giveaway if she has one for you. And then a question, like an ask of the audience, like, hey, connect with me for this. And so this is your time to shine, to share your gold with the world, and to broadcast what you do for the women out there who are looking for you. So we will start. Let's go with Leslie first. And these are 90 minutes. So I'll give you 90 minutes. No, not 90 minutes. Sorry.
Wow.
You're like,
it.
Sweet. Hey, everyone. Listen, we're going to be here for like 3 days. No, 90 seconds.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I am Leslie Lane Peabody, the ninja in high heels. And I help women in business, either women get into business or women in business increase their profits. It's all about cash flow. I'm a cash flow ninja. And the reason I do that is because you want financial freedom. We all deserve to be able to support ourselves, support our family with time and financial freedom. But most of us, when we get into a business, we work that business so hard and we don't know how to turn a profit. So it's all about making it profitable, paying you so that eventually you can step away and the business can run itself and it becomes passive income for you. Just like the big guys, right? You can be a big guy too. So what I'm offering for free this month, this is going to be my birthday month. June is my birthday month. Woohoo! So all month long in June, I'm going to give away a free 30-minute phone call where you can come on and ask me, how can I deduct that? Right? You always hear about hire your kids. How do you do that? Make all your vacations work related. How do you get down to zero taxes? Well, I can give you some tips about how to do that in your personal life to keep you out of trouble with the IRS. Now, keep in mind, this is education and not tax advice. You have to go to your tax professional for that. But if you don't even know what to do, you can't get there. And this saved my life. Honestly, it saved my life when my kids were younger. So I'd love to see you there. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram, Leslie Lane Peabody, Leslie, middle name Lane, like Superman's girlfriend, Lane, and Peabody, Peabody, like that little dog, or the ninja in high heels. You can find me everywhere under that. Now, the ask I have of you as the audience is who do you know that needs to get their finances in order, their taxes in order? Please have them reach out to me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Leslie. And Ninja in High Heels. I love that branding. It's so great. All right, Kara, you're up next.
Okay, I'm Kara Zabrowski. My company is Reshape Midlife LLC. You can find me on my website at www.reshapemidlife. My Instagram handle is also the same, at Reshape Midlife. And I would love to reach out to women that are looking to, as I mentioned earlier, you get into these midlife years and maybe you're not really sure what direction you want to head, changes you want to make, what it means that the kids are now gone, all of that stuff. I've got online courses with coaching, but I would love to invite you on a retreats with me. It is such an amazing experience. I pick places all over the United States and I'm expanding globally as well. And upcoming in July, I have one in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado where I live. I have one coming up in the fall. It's Fall Foliage Midlife Women's Wellness Retreat. This is a bucket list item for me. We're going to go at the height of fall foliage. I'm taking 17 women with me. There's about 10 spots left because I just put that one up recently. Only 2 spots left in Colorado, if there are any left when this one airs. And I'm going to offer anybody that hears this that would like to come join me a 15% discount on either of those retreats. We're going to use code NFA15. All right. So I'd love to see you there. I'd love to work with you if you're just looking to find more meaning, passion, purpose, direction in your life in these midlife and beyond years.
Wonderful. Thank you. That sounds heavenly. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm in Colorado Springs too.
No way.
Yeah. I know.
Okay. We're going to have to meet.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I forgot. Yeah. That's so exciting. And everyone, fall is insanely beautiful here. So definitely check out her retreats. Okay, Jennifer, go for it.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Traster, and my company's Transformational Writing LLC, and I'm a coach, and I use journaling to help you transform your life. And you can find me at jennifertraster.com. And it sounds like Traster, but it's spelled Troster. And I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes, but it's Troester. And I mostly hang out on Instagram, Jennifer Traster Writes. And so you can follow me there. And I have a free download for your ultimate journaling guide. So if you're new to journaling, or if you want to try something new with journaling, you can go to my website and download that and follow me. I'm currently working on a book. And when the book is released, I will have a workshop that goes with it for the pre-orders. And then also, I am a neighbor of the two of you. I live in Nebraska, and we have a beautiful cabin in the Black Hills where I plan to host retreats. So if you want to follow me and need journaling advice, or want to watch my writing journey with my book, I would love to serve you too as a coach. I do one-on-one coaching. So definitely reach out, and I'd love to work with you.
Perfect. Thank you. I love this. I mean, I haven't shared it a lot lately, but journaling is my jam. Like, I love what you do in the world. So yes, people, check Jennifer out.
My podcast.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
If there's any journalers out there and you want to be on the podcast, I like to talk to people about their strategies with journaling. So
Perfect.
you'll have to be on my podcast, and anybody else out there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, that sounds amazing. Okay, let's go next to Lindsay.
Okay, my name's Lindsay Sutherland, and just like Leslie was a ninja in high heels, I love that. I consider myself a profit ninja. I help businesses become more profitable. Recently, as an example, a client came on board. She was break even in her podcast editing business. Within 2 weeks, we got her in the black and found her 35 hours more in time a month. So that's what I love to do, is give people peace of mind and money. So the best way to connect with me is on my website, lindsaysutherland.site. And I offer you a 1-hour consultation where I guarantee to find you a minimum of $25,000 of profit in your business in under 1 hour, or I buy you a $25 Amazon gift card. So that's what I do. Feel free to also connect with me on Instagram at Lindsay Sutherland. I'm pretty much all over the place that way. That's how God made me. That's how I show up. All right. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Profit ninja in the house. I love this. And wow, what a cool offer. Minimum of $25K in your business in under 1 hour, or a gift card for $25. Cool promotion. I love that. Thank you. Okay, Robin, go for it.
Okay, I'm Robin Cartwright. I'm an intuitive career coach and motivational speaker in the workplace. I've been in human resources and staffing for over 30 years and decided to turn my experience into helping others. So this is my new passion as I enter into my later years of life. And I'm approaching 56 this month. So started a new business in my 50s. So yeah. I'm offering in the month of June a 30% off discount to anybody who hears this podcast and would like some career coaching advice. I pretty much work with individuals who are either stuck in their career transitions, stuck in their job search, stuck in management's not seeing them the way they would like to be seen. So I use my intuitive abilities to help move them through that process. So lucky me, 30 years of HR and human resources and the ability of intuition. So if you want to use my discount of 30% off, all you have to do is put in the code of June 30 in any one of my packages. And you can find me at hiddengemscoaching.co. Or you can see me on Instagram, and my Instagram is hiddengems.robin.
Well, you were spot on 90 seconds. That was amazing and awesome. I love these names. Hidden Gems Coaching. Cool. Great name. Thank you. Okay, Brette, go for it.
Thank you. Okay, so my name is Brette Goldstein. My website is brettegoldstein.com. And Brette is not like the Ted Lasso Brette Goldstein. This has an E at the end because, my mom thought it was girly and everything. So you can find me at brettegoldstein.com, Brette Goldstein on LinkedIn, at Brette Goldstein on Instagram. If you're an actor, I would say the best place to find me is Instagram And for the rest of the civilians, probably on LinkedIn. In terms of a giveaway, I would say that I would love to offer women executives and entrepreneurs, especially listeners of this NFA podcast, the starving actor rate if you are not one. So you can email me at brett@brettgoldstein.com and we can talk more about that. And then in terms of an ask, I would say that two things. One, I find that making content for Instagram is easy for me because actors in a way are my people because I was a casting director for 25 years. So that's easy. Where I struggle is how I can serve non-actors as a casting director and whether it's performance coaching when it comes to presentations or anything else. If there's anything that you need from me that I can provide in terms of content on LinkedIn, I would love to hear from you. And also one thing I love doing is pointing out people's special sauce from the point of view of the casting director, that thing that really pops and shines about them. And I love bringing that to teams. So if you have one, and today I worked with the HR division of Library of Congress, let me know. And I would love to uplift people in that way. It's a good morale booster, especially if everyone's been working remotely. But it's fun casting and acting stuff. We can talk more.
Cool. Fun. These are amazing offers. Thank you so much, everyone. I mean, I know that obviously it's fun to come on and get to promote yourself. I also know that sharing your vulnerability about startup self and advice you'd give yourself and sharing stories isn't always easy. And also it's incredibly valuable because I know that everyone listening struggles with all the same things and, in cycles. And so I love to be able to bring the inspiration, the connection, the feeling of you're not alone. Like you're not alone out there in the world building your business. We all struggle with these things, no matter what level of business we're at, no matter how many years we've been in business, no matter what our age is. Like we all are in this together and we all experience similar things. We might have different stories and different backgrounds, but it's like, I think business building, there are similar patterns and things that we go through. And so, I think it's really important to bond together and share what we have with the world with each other. And then, when you're listening and you've heard, oh, okay, I remember on the Woman Entrepreneur podcast, I heard from Brette and she helps with this and I can send someone there. So, shout each other out, share this podcast with other people. My quest has always been, since I started, to impact a minimum of 5 million people. And in that, it's like, it's just like, I want to know that I mattered and made a difference. So that's like this narcissistic, selfish part of myself. And then it's like the giving part is like, we all suffer and struggle in different ways. And it's like, I want to be a voice of inspiration and that voice that I got a really cool email the other day. Someone said like, your weekly newsletters give me inspiration every week to stay out of my depression. And I literally cried. I was like, oh my God, like, and she didn't have to take the time to share that with me. And it matters. Like this stuff we're doing in the world matters. So you matter, your work matters. Thank you for sharing it with the community. Thank you for being here. And I'm sending all of you a ton of love. And until next time, I'm sending everyone listening big hugs and NFA money making high fives.